There's a new big man on campus. We've got some roster news with the Duke basketball team going into this upcoming 2025-2026 season. It's going to be a great show today on Locked On Blue Devils.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you so much for being with us here today on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. And you know that this time of year, we're talking so much about what's going on with this Duke basketball team and putting the roster together for the upcoming season. This morning, we got some roster news for the Blue Devils as Ifeanyi Ufochukwu has made the decision to commit to the Duke Blue Devils basketball program after spending a couple of seasons playing for Rice University. He's making the decision to transfer over to Durham. So we'll talk about that. The ACC has finalized some of those schedule changes ahead of the new season. That'll be a part of our discussion and so much more as we bring in Dustin Shoe, one of our good friends from the Devil's Den podcast, back with us once again. It'll be good to have him back on the program with me here today. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. You could leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, watch our show each and every day on YouTube. Like these videos, share it with your friends. We're continuing to grow the channel and really appreciate all the support that you give us here on the show. So here he is, Dustin Shoe's back with us on the show. Long overdue, long-awaited return of one of my friends and absolute favorites. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. No complaints, and nobody really listens to my complaints anyways.
Well, let's get after it, man. We got to talk about the Duke basketball squad. A couple of additions have been made to the team ahead of this next season. Players making decisions to go to the NBA and other guys coming back. And here we are, man, in a spot where for the second time out of the last 3 years, not a single player from the Duke basketball team decided to enter the transfer portal. What a win it is in today's game, man.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to John. I don't think he gets enough credit for how hard it is to do that in this day and age. Like, Stanley Borden left. None of our scholarship guys, right? So John fought real hard, worked really hard to get these guys back. Sees a lot of potential in every one of these guys, and I'd rather have the roster continuity, to go forward than to just start fresh with 8-9 new guys every year. It takes a while to get these guys to meld and get the chemistry. When you've already got 5 guys that been through the program, been in the weight room with Coach Will, I love to see that happen.
Yeah, that's big time, man, especially like every other school you look, and they are having a brand new roster each and every year. And Duke has been kind of this one and done machine for, we're going on 2 decades here shortly with how long they've kind of shifted their focus there. And so even in that respect, it was always crazy because it felt like you were having to change your roster each and every season. Then add in the guys that just don't stick around for 4 years. It makes it so difficult to form those relationships. That's why, earlier in the week, we did a little Tyrese Proctor season in review episode, and we'll continue to do those in the days and weeks to come. For a guy to play 3 years with Duke across the chest means so much, and that's why Proctor became a fan favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get these kind of high-end guys that stick around. Obviously, they all have NBA aspirations. The timelines don't always work out the way they want it to. But you're going to need those guys, culture guys, right? You're going to need those guys that as juniors and seniors, they can show the freshmen, even the sophomores. This is how we operate. This is how we do things. So it's really important to have those guys. And a lot of the times you need those guys to be not just guys that are on the end of the bench, guys that are in the game, guys that are vocal, that are leaders. So Tyrese, man, what a career he had. He gave us everything. I would have loved to have him back one more year, but don't fault the kid for chasing his dreams.
Yeah, certainly understood why he's making that decision and ready to start the professional chapter of his career after 3 seasons wearing that Duke uniform. So with that being said, and looking at the other guys that are coming back with this year's squad, I've been listening to you guys lately over there at the Devil's Den podcast, and people listen to me each and every day here on Locked On Blue Devils. They've said, when you look at the roster for next year, what is it that is still needed? And depth in the front court is something that I've been talking about. I know that you guys have had similar discussions about that, man, because injuries are a part of the game, man. And it does help that also in those practice settings to have kind of a realistic picture of what some of those bigger bodies are.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx us, but we had joked around that Nike should create like some kind of boot for us, because it seems like every year somebody was in a walking boot for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Front court players between Malik, Boozer, and Big Pat, I think we're good on playing, but it doesn't help or hurt to have an extra piece, a practice piece, and somebody that may be able to step in case there is just that rash of injuries.
And the practice piece is so big, and we're going to get to this new transfer here in just a second. But I mean, you look at across the country, right? And even when you go down to something as simple as high school basketball, feels like the average high school team in America, their 4 or 5 man is only, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" in the grand scheme of things. So when you get into those big tournament settings, all of a sudden, if there's a high school squad that's rolling out with a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guy, you don't know what to do. If there had been scenarios throughout practice, teams would be more prepared for that. And that is just as true in the college game when you're going through those practice settings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this new guy's, 6'11". So, look, when I was in high school, we had a 5'10" coach that would, bring a broom out to make you shoot over him. You got a 6'11" guy, you stick him in the paint. You don't need to do that. Yeah. Save some brooms.
It's so big. Save them for sure. Yeah. So, all right, here he is. It's Ifeanyi Ufochukwu. And I've gone ahead for folks here on YouTube via the Rice Media Guide. I love, these basketball programs, putting media guides together for announcers and tracking this down to get that pronunciation guide for people here. We'll just call him Iffy, though, making the decision to transfer over to Duke. The Nigerian who's played for Rice, he medically redshirted this past year after 16 games, sustained an injury. Now he's going to join the squad. Pretty much we've talked about the highlights of him being a practice level player. The most minutes he's ever played in a college basketball game is 4, Dustin. So it's kind of hard to all of a sudden assume he's going to be this big time in-game difference maker. But nonetheless, we need him.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, depth piece, breaking case of emergency type guy, right? But practice player that will come in handy. I mean, anytime you got a 6'11" guy, I don't care if you can barely walk. I mean, if you can get around, that's going to do you some good. And obviously, coming from Rice, I mean, that's a good academic institution, going to boost the team GPA. It seems like John likes to pull guys from Stanford, from Rice, from Davidson, places like this, high academics. So, looking forward to seeing what he can bring for us.
Yeah, no kidding. I hadn't made that academics connection, but you're exactly right. Northwestern, another one. It feels like we keep finding those guys. 2 straight years. Duke fans will remember, of course, Cam Sheffield came over from Rice, played for Duke this past season. So now we've got another one, Iffy, joining the squad. Played 25 games in his college career, though, so far. Again, the most minutes he's ever played in a contest is 4. But excited to see him get to put on that Duke uniform. And it's a front court now as we kind of look at that position overview with that group there. You've got Pat Gongba coming back. You've got Malik Brown coming back. And then you welcome in the heralded freshman and Cameron Boozer to go along with Iffy.
Yeah, just quick trivia time for you, put you on the spot. This is our 3rd Rice transfer.
I was not prepared for this trivia, man. You're going to go ahead, tell me.
So you got Sheffield, you got this kid, Sean Obi.
Sean Obi, that's right.
About 10 years ago, right. 9 years ago, somewhere around there. So
yes, and a guy that battled injuries throughout most of his career there for Duke. Yeah, I was high on him.
Yeah, me too.
I vividly remember Sean Obi wearing that number 34 jersey for Duke. Totally forgot that he was from Rice.
Best dressed man in basketball. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he averaged like a double-double as a freshman at Rice. So, coming into Duke, I thought,
what could have been.
What could have been. Yeah, it just didn't work out for him. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. So the front court, though, for this next year's squad, when you look at Pat, Malik, Cam Boozer, and now Iffy.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I think it's the best front court in the nation. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I mean, Cameron Boozer is going to surprise a lot of people if they don't know who he is. This guy has an intense motor. He's a massive human being. His shoulders it reminds me of like Dwight Howard. His shoulders are so big. I think Josh and Raul and I've, kicked it around. He's probably going to have a 20 rebound game, maybe a 20-20 game. I think Jalen Johnson had a 19-19 game for us his freshman year, like first game of the season. So Cameron is going to do a lot. Obviously, we know what Malik does, causing chaos to other teams' offenses with his hands. And then Big Pat, I'm super excited for him. That guy seems like he catches everything. He makes space in the lane to get rebounds, and just a real cerebral player. So between those three and Iffy, I think we're loaded at the front court.
Welcome to the brotherhood, Iffy. Glad to have you on board. Glad to have you be a part of the Duke basketball squad going into the next season. All right, we teased it a moment ago, but there are some scheduled news in the ACC that I want to discuss here with Dustin after we take our first break here on today's show. All right, my friends, Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level, giving businesses flexibility, connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent is so key, and Upwork can help connect you with a freelance expert who can deliver incredible results. It's cost-effective growth as well. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale the business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Upwork is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, he's back. Dustin Shoe's here with us. We're talking about the Duke basketball team going into the next season. The ACC schedule has now been finalized, dropping from 20 conference games down to 18. Getting to that in just a moment. What was your perception of the ACC this season? Felt like everybody kind of viewed it as pretty bad, but I just kind of want people to have it be put into words, Dustin, when they look at the league that we love.
I mean, look, I just turned 41 years old. I've been watching this league for at least 30 years, pretty hardcore. It's probably as bad as I'd ever seen it. I think Duke was the only team to win an NCAA tournament game in the ACC this year. That probably hasn't happened since we literally would only send one ACC team to the NCAA tournament. So I don't know the exact cause for what it is. Is it NIL, all these SEC schools, paying big bucks for the bigger recruits, the bigger transfers? I don't know, but the ACC, they're definitely going to have to figure something out because it hurts everybody, right?
And a year in which, this is overshadowing in so many ways. It was the first year that Cal and Stanford and SMU had joined the league, right? It's an opportunity to kind of grow the league's horizon, add more quality opponents on the schedule and that sort of thing. And it just did not happen, man. I mean, Duke fans, we've been feeling the weight of the entire conference on our shoulders for this past year.
Yeah, and you look back, we've lost a lot of great coaches in the ACC. Obviously, Coach K retires, Roy Williams retires, Tony Bennett suddenly steps down, Larinaga leaves. It's hard to replace those guys. Those guys were legends. And so finding someone to step in and keep that ship going, Miami had a really tough time this year. We didn't see that coming. Louisville turned it. Syracuse the same way. Exactly. Boeheim. I don't know how I forgot to mention him, but
Mike Gray, even Notre Dame, when Mike Gray was there, had something running.
Yeah. So look, I think we've got a nice core of young, talented coaches, but it's going to take them a little time to get everything the way they want it to be.
So for Duke this past year, obviously it didn't matter. They were able to go through. They went 19-1, set the record for most wins in a conference season. That's actually something I guess we could take a lot of pride in, Dustin, because nobody's going to be able to beat the year
and if
before.
we're going to 18 now, we're done. It's good. It's forever.
The year before, UNC beat Duke in the final game of the season for them to go, 17-3 and complete that mark. At least Duke had the very next season to go after that record of 17-3. But now that we're talking about it, I'm just figuring this out. Hold on, that's a record that can't be broken now this upcoming season.
And it makes you wish that you just would have had a little bit more down in Clemson when we were in 20-0, but
exactly.
19 still fine.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll take it. All right. So with that being said, we're going to 18 conference games. And those watching on YouTube can see this graphic that the official conference put out. When you look at 18 conference games per team, that's going to be 14 single opponents, 7 home games, 7 away games. One primary partner that you will play every year, where you will play them at home and on the road. It's already been announced for Duke that fittingly and rightfully so, it will be the North Carolina Tar Heels. And then one secondary opponent that will be determined annually that you will also play twice. So we don't know who that will be for Duke this year. So there's one school you don't even play at all. There's one school that will play twice, and then we always play the Tar Heels twice, everybody else at home.
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit of an old man when it comes to this. I love the round robin that we used to play, but obviously when you have so many teams, you can't do that anymore.
Difficult, yeah.
It's difficult. So the unbalanced schedules, that's why I think as the years have went on, I've cared less and less about a quote unquote regular season championship. But I do like this move by the ACC. I think it's going to give us a chance to showcase more in the non-conference what some of our better teams can do.
And that's what the conference is looking for. Like, they want to be able to see more premium non-conference matchups. Duke certainly had those this past year. They're putting it together for the upcoming season. And now, once again, man, we've seen some pretty good hires across the conference throughout this coaching carousel. But beyond that, the ACC's got to take care of business in those non-conference games.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it all gets set, right? Like, so the perception of your conference is made when you're playing these non-conference. And then by the time you get to your conference schedule, it doesn't really shift around too much. Teams are just kind of beating up on each other. So it's really imperative that, you know, John going forward, and he's done a great job. I think we got Texas, Michigan State, you know, we've got a lot of teams on the docket coming up. That, you know, if you go in and have a good record, then you prove to the rest of the country that this team is for real. And, you know, it's not just picking on lowly ACC teams.
Yeah, and it's going to help your metrics, right? The
Sure.
RPI is going to get a boost, as opposed to, like, yeah, Duke went 19-1, but in some ways it's not that impressive because the teams were so far down. And when you beat those teams, it doesn't even, you know, like we're in the heart of baseball and softball season, getting set to go to the postseason, right? And you're seeing across the country people canceling games because of where their RPI currently stands, and it does them no good to beat teams. It can actually hurt their RPI, and that was like a road that ACC basketball did not want to go down into.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, look, again, kudos to the conference for shaking things up, for realizing that this is something that needed to be done. I know it wasn't probably an easy decision to make, but I like the way they're going, and hopefully the other teams, you know, I don't expect Boston College to go out and schedule to play Kansas and to play, you know, all these other top schools, but the teams, you know.
Could you imagine, man?
I don't even want to play.
Kansas gets the phone call from Boston. Who's this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, new phone.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to have 18 conference games per team, and then Duke's also done a really good job in the non-conference with the schedule that they've started to put together. It's going to test them going into the upcoming season, and hopefully it's a squad that's ready to rock and roll. What we'll do right now is we'll go ahead and we'll take our first break here on today's program, and when we come back, we'll start to wrap up today's episode. This is our second break. We'll start to wrap up after this. All right, Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. That's right. It's the NBA playoffs right now, and FanDuel is where you need to go to get in on the action. Every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, and so much more. Which players are showing up in the biggest moment, and how can tracking their trends help you build your next bet? Go and check out the action right now. Game 2's tonight. You've got the Boston Celtics currently favored by 10.5 at home over the Knicks. Also, the Thunder favored by 10.5 points a little bit later in Game 2 over the Denver Nuggets. All that more over at FanDuel. Are you new to FanDuel? Well, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Dustin Shoe's here with us today on the program. We're talking Duke basketball. as we start to wrap things up. It's been a fun conversation talking about the new transfer, big fella for the Blue Devils, looking at the ACC schedule changes that are set to be made. And now as we look at the roster, man, we've got a couple of NBA draft decisions that officially need to be made. We need to see Cedric Coward and Isaiah Evans leave the draft process and come back to school for another year. That's kind of the waiting game now.
Yeah, I think the combine's coming up in Chicago
next week. Yeah.
Next week. Yeah. So obviously all 5 Duke starters plus Isaiah Evans and Cedric Coward invited. At first I thought Coward, might just go get some feedback, just to see what he needs to work on and plan to come back. But Jonathan Givony gave him a first round grade, and that's worried me because I kind of trust Givony for a lot of that stuff. So look, he's coming off an injury, didn't play but 6 games last year. So can he show his full potential in the combine? Possibly. Isaiah Evans as well. Obviously we know he can shoot the rock. Does he do enough in the other areas to impress scouts? Possibly, possibly not. I'd love for him to come back. Obviously I want him back. Would love Coward there too. I think those are 2 of our starters if they do come back, but it's a waiting game right now.
Dude, I've the videos that keep coming out of Coward putting these workouts in and that sort of thing the last few days have been saying like, hey, let's just magically transfer all of this hype right now that Cedric Coward's receiving and just sprinkle it a little bit on Tyrese Proctor and Zion James, right? Like bring their status up in the draft and let Cedric Coward come back to Duke. Yeah,
I mean, look, Coward, I didn't know a lot about him before we signed him, but obviously John and the staff, they do their homework. 6'6". We talked about he kind of moves like Rodney Hood. That's what he reminded me and Raul of, just in his movements. 3-level scorer, loves to play defense. That's at least that's what he talks about. So I think the fit is perfect with this team. I think he could get that 28, 29, maybe 30 spot. Or you come back and you're playing for a program like Duke. Obviously, we see what it did for Concanipple.
Yep.
Jared McCain the year before could move himself up into a lottery status or earlier in the first round and a couple more dollars in his pocket come next year.
Yeah, and let's be honest, man. Duke can give you a couple of dollars this year, right?
He ain't going to be eating ramen on campus every day. I know that, yeah.
He'll be taken care of. Again, we've got his numbers on the screen there. The 6 games played, nearly 18 a game, 40% from 3, 84% from the free throw line, 7. I mean, this is a guy, need this guy to play for Duke next year.
Yeah. I mean, look, we don't know what's going to happen in Chicago, but I think the underlying thing is that he's going to go get his info and then come to Durham ultimately.
So when you look at that, his decision obviously looms large. If he does decide to stay in the draft, you've got to pivot fully. Even beyond that, when you look at the Duke basketball team, I talked about needing help in the front court. Depth is really important. Solidified that by bringing in Ifeanyi Ufochukwu. I'm going to love pronouncing that throughout the course of the year, getting my reps in here. And then also help another ball handler. Like that can never hurt if you could get an experienced guard, man. That's kind of what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, I mean, I think a guard or to me, Cedric, I just don't think you're going to find a replacement for Cedric. Does he opt to stay in? There's not many guys with that NBA kind of talent pedigree that are going to come back. And especially his size and skill set, because I think he could handle the ball as well a little bit, kind of like Khan did for us this year or even Cooper. So I wouldn't mind having another wing guy. We don't know if Evans is going to play the 2 or 3 kind of spot. Haminia could play that 3, maybe 4 spot. So a little shallow in the wing area, especially with Shelton Henderson opting to go back to Miami. But yeah, another ball handler too, just in case. Look, Foster's been through injuries. I think Caden Boozer is going to be better than a lot of people think too. I think he could run the show for us right now if he needs to, but it wouldn't hurt to have an extra piece just in case.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's build out this roster. We've got our sights set on 6 always, defending ACC champs, wanting to go back to another Final Four and go a couple of steps further this upcoming season. Shoe, man, it is so good to see you once again, brother. Love listening to you guys over there at the Devil's Den podcast. Tell the listeners here about your show and how people can support you guys, where they can find it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we're the Devil's Den podcast. Josh Smith, Raul Clement, and myself. I'm the one that just kind of cracks jokes. They do most of the hot takes. We got a couple things coming up this summer. I think we're about to do an NBA draft pod with Dan Favale from is a big podcaster in the NBA circles. We're even kicking around the idea of doing video. I don't think anybody really wants to look at me. They'd rather do the audio, but if it helps us get our words out a little bit better, get more viewers, then that's what we'll do.
That's epic. All right, man. We'll do this again soon. Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. That's Dustin Shoe joining us here on today's show. That brings our show here today to a close. Go support the work that they've got over there at the Devil's Den podcast, and make sure that you subscribe to our show as well. It's free wherever it is that you get your podcasts. I love when you take the time to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. That support means so much to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Welcome to the Brotherhood, Iffy. That's the big takeaway from today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.